Hey everyone, ready for another deep dive? This time we're tackling data strategy in the age of AI. And let me tell you, it's not just about managing more data anymore. It's about using it in entirely different ways.
hmm
We've got a ton of research, frameworks, real-world examples, all from those awesome sources you sent, and we're going to break it all down for you.
And it's fascinating because the stats paint a pretty clear picture. Companies are struggling with this shift. Think about it. 78% are having trouble adapting their data infrastructure for AI. Then you've got 83% with major gaps in data governance. And a whopping 92%, that's almost everyone, are facing cultural resistance to AI.
Yeah, those numbers are pretty stark. It's a huge shift, no doubt.
Mhm.
But those who nail it, they're going to have a massive advantage.
Speaking of nailing it, we've got Muammar Loan's framework to guide us. His book lays out a pretty brilliant plan for navigating this AI-driven data strategy world. He focuses on four key pillars, and I think that's a great place to start. What's really refreshing about Loan's framework is how it goes beyond just the tech. He gets that cultural transformation is just as important as all the technical stuff.
Absolutely. So let's dive into those pillars. First up, AI governance integration. This is all about baking in the good stuff right from the start. Ethical considerations, minimizing bias, and making sure everything's compliant. No more playing catch up.
Exactly. Building those AI systems to be responsible and trustworthy from day one, which leads perfectly into that second pillar, cultural transformation. Lone really hits the nail on the head when he talks about how cultural resistance is a huge roadblock for companies trying to adopt AI.
It's like imagine trying to teach an old dog new tricks. If your company culture isn't ready to embrace data and AI, you're going to have a tough time.
And what's great is Lone doesn't just point out the problem, he actually gives some solid advice on how to build that data-driven culture, which can be super helpful.
Okay, pillar number three, industry-specific roadmaps. This is where things get really practical because the AI and data challenges are different for, say, a healthcare company versus a manufacturing company.
And that's one of the things I appreciate most about Lone's approach. He acknowledges that one size doesn't fit all in this AI era.
Totally agree.
Right.
And finally, we've got that innovation governance balance. It's all about making sure that all the amazing innovation driven by AI doesn't come at the expense of ethical data practices and staying compliant.
Finding that sweet spot is definitely key, and Lone provides a roadmap for doing just that. But moving beyond Lone's framework, another big idea that kept coming up in all these sources was this whole concept of data as a strategic asset.
Yes, this is a recurring theme and such an important one. It's about recognizing that data itself has inherent value, like any other asset a company would have, not just some byproduct.
And just like any asset, you need a solid strategy to manage it and squeeze out all its potential, which, I gotta say, can be tricky. Measuring the value of data isn't exactly like slapping a price tag on a product.
It's way more nuanced. And it's interesting, the sources outline three types of value: direct, indirect, and strategic. Direct value is the most straightforward data directly generating revenue. Think targeted marketing campaigns.
Right, a classic example of how data contributes to that bottom line. Then you've got indirect value data helping cut costs or make things more efficient, things like optimizing those crazy supply chains or using AI to handle all those boring, repetitive tasks.
So it's not about bringing in money directly. It's about saving money or just doing things better. And then there's strategic value, which honestly sounds a little intimidating.
Strategic value is all about using data to get that competitive edge. It could be about uncovering those unique insights that fuel your next killer product or spotting those market trends before anyone else. It's data helping you make smarter, more forward-thinking decisions.
Okay, now it's clicking for me. But managing data as a strategic asset still seems like a huge undertaking. Where do you even start with something like that?
Well, one of the sources laid out a really practical approach. They call it the life cycle approach to data asset management. And it kind of mirrors how companies manage things like physical assets or financial investments. They break it down into four clear stages: create, enhance, utilize, and archive.
Okay, I like where this is going. Break it down for me. What's involved in the create stage?
So create is all about collecting that data, setting up those quality standards, making sure you know where it's coming from, basically making sure you're gathering the right data from reliable sources and it's accurate from the get-go.
Right, got to avoid that garbage in, garbage out situation. Bad data, bad results. So once you've built up your data asset, you move on to enhance. What happens there?
Enhance is all about taking that raw data and making it even better. Think of it like refining oil into gasoline. You might enrich it by adding external information, cleaning up inconsistencies, maybe even setting up systems to keep it updated in real time.
Got it. So you're basically making that data more potent, more useful. Then comes utilize. This is where things get exciting.
Exactly. Utilize is all about putting that data to work. It's tracking how it's being used, measuring its performance against your goals, and constantly figuring out how valuable it really is to your
That's
business.
like making sure your investment is paying off, right? And then finally, archive. Does that mean we just shove it in a digital storage locker and forget about it?
Not quite. Archive is about responsible data management. You're setting up retention policies, controlling access to that archive data, and making sure you're playing by the rules when it comes to data storage and disposal.
So it's not about forgetting about it. It's about managing it responsibly, even when it's not actively in use. To really understand AI-driven data strategy, can we take a step back and look at how data strategy has evolved over time?
Absolutely. The journey of data strategy has been a wild ride. It kind of mirrors the evolution of technology itself. It can be helpful to think of it in distinct eras. We can start with the mainframe era. Believe it or not, it still has a lot to teach us.
The mainframe era. That sounds like ancient history. What was it like?
Picture this. Gigantic computers taking up entire rooms, punch cards, data stored on magnetic tapes. It was the very beginning of data management, with a big focus on centralized processing and structured data.
A world away from where we are now. What can we learn from such a different time?
It's fascinating because even with all the technological advancements, some of those core concepts from the mainframe era still hold true. Things like data organization, efficiency, security, those are paramount back then. And guess what? They're still fundamental to modern data strategies. It's a good reminder that the fundamentals never really go out of style.
I love that. The more things change, the more they stay the same, especially when it comes to the core principles of data management. So we've got the mainframe era. What came next?
Next up was the client-server revolution. It really took off in the 80s and 90s. That's when we started to see computing power becoming more distributed with personal computers and networks.
So we're moving away from those massive mainframes, more decentralized. How did that impact data strategy?
The client-server model brought some big changes. We saw the rise of relational databases, a more flexible and efficient way to organize data, and the user interfaces, way more sophisticated and user-friendly.
So data became more accessible, not just for the tech folks. That must have been a game changer.
It was. Data wasn't this mysterious thing locked away anymore. It was used across organizations, empowering more people to use it for decision-making.
It feels like a turning point, data coming out of the shadows and taking center stage. So
Yeah.
what came next?
Buckle up, because things are about to get really interesting. Next came the internet transformation. And, well, you know how the internet changed everything. Data was no exception.
This is where things start to feel familiar. The internet was a game changer for sure. What happened on the data strategy front?
Global connectivity exploded. Data could be shared and accessed from anywhere. We saw web platforms, e-commerce, real-time communication, all generating tons of new data.
The data floodgates opened. Tons of data, tons of opportunities. How did companies handle it?
It was a wild time. Companies had to adapt quickly, coming up with new approaches to managing, securing, and analyzing all that data. It was like setting the stage for the next wave, the big data emergence.
Big data, we hear that term all the time now. What made it so different?
The big data era, which really took off in the early 2000s, was all about the three V's: volume, variety, and velocity of data. The old ways of managing data just couldn't keep up.
So more data, but also different types of data, coming in faster and in all sorts of formats.
Exactly. And to tackle those challenges, we needed new tools. We saw NoSQL databases, Hadoop, cloud platforms, all designed to handle big data.
It sounds like companies were in a constant race to keep up with this tsunami of data. But amidst all that chaos, I imagine there was also a lot of innovation.
Definitely. Big data forced companies to be creative, and that led to some incredible innovations in data management and analysis. And you know what? All that paved the way for where we are now, the AI revolution.
Ah, the AI revolution. This is where data truly becomes a strategic asset. AI steps in to unlock all that hidden potential.
Exactly. The AI revolution is all about integrating AI and machine learning into data strategy. It's about automating, extracting deeper insights, and even predicting the future.
Now we're talking. This level of sophistication was unimaginable just a few decades ago, but this is also where those challenges we talked about, like cultural resistance and infrastructure limitations, become even bigger, right?
Absolutely. Implementing a truly AI-driven data strategy isn't a walk in the park. It takes a shift in mindset, investment in new technologies and skills, and a commitment to doing things the right way.
It's about the people and the processes just as much as the tech. Having the right leadership, the right culture, and the right governance framework are essential.
You nailed it. It's complex, but the potential rewards are huge. The companies that figure this out are going to be the leaders of tomorrow.
Okay, we've had this whirlwind tour through the history of data strategy, from those clunky mainframes to the AI-powered present. We've got Loan's framework to guide us and this deeper understanding of data as a strategic asset. But let's get practical. What are the steps companies can take to make sure their data strategy is ready for this AI era?
That's the million-dollar question. And luckily, the sources you provided offer some great insights. Maybe we could start with a real-world example. One source outlines this case study of a global bank transforming its data strategy for AI.
A global bank. Sounds like they had a lot of data to deal with. Tell me more.
Yeah. They were facing a classic problem, drowning in data, but struggling to turn it into something meaningful. They knew they needed a data strategy makeover to stay competitive.
So they knew change was needed. Where did they even begin?
They took a really structured approach, which is something I think a lot of companies can learn from. Their transformation involved 4 phases: assessment, planning, implementation, and optimization.
Okay, let's break those down. Assessment, that's about figuring out where they stood, right? What did they do?
They took a deep dive into their existing data infrastructure, their data governance practices, and their overall data maturity. They also looked at the skills and capabilities within their teams.
So they were taking stock of their data assets, A&D, their talent. Once they had a clear picture, they moved on to planning.
Exactly. Planning was all about charting the course. They defined their goals, figured out which technologies to invest in, and outlined the changes they needed to make to their structure and processes.
They were laying the groundwork for a massive transformation. Then comes implementation, where things start to happen. What did that look like for them?
It was all about action. They upgraded their systems, implemented a brand new data architecture, and started incorporating AI into their operations.
Putting all the pieces together. And I'm guessing optimization was all about fine-tuning those pieces to make sure everything works smoothly.
Exactly. Optimization was about constantly monitoring and refining their strategy, making sure it was delivering results. They tracked metrics, gathered feedback, and made adjustments to get the most value from their data.
This case study is a great example of how a well-defined approach can lead to a successful data transformation. But let's zoom in on one crucial area for AI-driven data strategy: data architecture. How has that evolved?
Data architecture has come a long way. It's helpful to think about it in terms of 3 eras: mainframe, big data, and AI.
Okay, we talked about the mainframe era. What did data architecture look like back then?
It was all about simplicity and hierarchy. Data was typically structured and stored in a central location. Think of a perfectly organized library.
Very orderly. But things got a bit messier with big data. How did data architecture adapt?
Big data brought a whole new set of challenges. We needed a more flexible and scalable approach to handle the volume, variety, and speed. NoSQL databases and Hadoop emerged to deal with unstructured data and distributed processing.
So more distributed and adaptable. And then AI comes along. How has that impacted things?
The AI era demands even more from our data architecture. It has to support multimodal data management, integrating structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data seamlessly. Cloud and edge computing are playing a big role, enabling real-time processing and distributed intelligence.
It sounds like data architecture has evolved from a well-organized library to a dynamic, interconnected ecosystem, all about flexibility, scalability, and supporting AI-driven decisions.
You got it. And this shift has major implications for companies. They need to move away from those rigid, siloed approaches. It's all about agile and adaptable architectures that can handle all sorts of data and AI workloads.
Makes sense, but it also sounds like a massive undertaking. So we've got this new era of AI-driven data architecture. But what about data processing? How has that changed?
Data processing has gone through a huge transformation, too. We've moved from batch processing, which was the norm in the mainframe and early client-server eras, towards real-time and stream processing, both essential for AI.
Quick refresher. What exactly is batch processing again?
Think of it like baking a cake. You gather all your ingredients, mix them together, and bake the whole thing at once. In data terms, you process data in large chunks at specific times, like running a report at the end of the day.
Not very spontaneous. What about real-time processing then?
Real-time processing is more like stir-fry. You have to be fast and responsive, constantly adjusting and adding ingredients as needed. It's analyzing data as it comes in, allowing for immediate action.
Got it. So speed and agility. And where does stream processing fit in?
Stream processing is like a sushi conveyor belt. You have this constant stream of data coming in, and you need to analyze it on the fly. Think social media feeds or sensor data.
So it's about handling a continuous flow instead of those batches. How has this evolution impacted businesses?
It's been revolutionary. Businesses can make decisions faster, react instantly, even automate whole processes.
Amazing. Data's gone from being a historical record to a dynamic tool that can guide actions right now.
Exactly. And this real-time, data-driven approach is crucial for companies in today's AI world.
This is all incredibly fascinating.
Yeah.
But why should our listener care? What's the key takeaway for them?
That's a great question. The point is, no matter what you do or where you work, understanding these shifts in data strategy is crucial in the AI age. Whether you're a CEO or a marketing manager, you need to grasp how AI is changing the data game.
So this isn't just for tech experts. Data strategy is everyone's business now. But how can someone who's not a data expert even begin to understand all this? It's a lot.
You're right, the data world moves fast, but there are a few things anyone can do.
All right, give us the cheat sheet. What are the most do's?
First, focus on the fundamentals. Understand those core concepts. Data governance, data architecture, data quality. You don't have to become a data scientist, but understanding those basics will help you understand how data works in your company.
Great advice. Learn the grammar before you try to write a novel.
Yeah.
What else?
Stay curious. The world of data is constantly changing, so stay updated on new trends and technologies. Read, attend webinars, maybe even take some online courses.
Make data learning a regular habit. What's the third tip?
Don't be afraid to ask questions. Talk to the data experts at your company. Share your ideas and learn from their experiences. The more you interact with data, the more comfortable you'll become.
So it's a team sport. I like that. We've covered a lot of the evolution of data strategy, data as a strategic asset, and the steps companies can take to adapt to the AI era. But there's so much more to explore.
Absolutely. We've just scratched the surface. Your sources are packed with even more insights and real-world examples. We could definitely do a follow-up deep dive sometime.
I'm in. I have a feeling it'll only get more fascinating as we delve deeper.
Going through all these sources, one thing that really hit me is how important data governance becomes in this AI era. It's almost like the more advanced our data strategies get, the more we need that strong foundation of governance.
Makes sense, right? It's like building a skyscraper. You need that solid foundation to support all the cool stuff you want to build on top. So what does modern data governance look like? What are the key things to focus on?
It's multifaceted for sure, but the sources highlight a few crucial aspects. Number one, data quality management. It's making sure your data is accurate, complete, and consistent. Like keeping your data clean and reliable.
Absolutely. Garbage in, garbage out. Bad data, bad results. So what else is critical for modern data governance?
Privacy and security are huge, especially with all those regulations like GDPR and CCPA. Organizations have to implement strong measures to protect sensitive information. Things like encryption, access controls, even anonymization techniques.
Data security is a big deal, especially with AI dealing with increasingly sensitive data. What's the third key aspect?
The sources really emphasize data lifecycle management, managing that data throughout its entire journey, from creation to archival or dilution, setting up those retention policies, ensuring proper disposal, managing access to archived data.
So it's like a cradle-to-grave approach for data, making sure it's handled responsibly every step of the way. It all makes sense, but it sounds like a lot to manage. How can companies actually make this happen?
It's definitely a big task, but the sources offer some good advice. One thing is to take a cross-functional approach. Bring everyone to the table: IT, legal, compliance, even business units. Data governance shouldn't be siloed in the IT department. It needs to be a shared responsibility.
It's about breaking down those silos and building a data governance culture where everyone participates. Love that. Any other practical tips?
Clearly defined roles and responsibilities are key too. Dedicated data stewards, a data governance committee, maybe even a chief data officer. That can help enforce policies and make sure everyone knows who's accountable for what.
It's like having a data governance dream team. Okay, we spent a lot of time talking about the challenges of data strategy in the AI era. But what about the opportunities? How is AI creating value?
You're right. It's not all doom and gloom. The sources are full of examples of AI changing the game for businesses across industries. Maybe the most obvious benefit is automation. AI systems can do those complex tasks that used to require so much human effort, freeing up employees for more strategic work.
It's like having a digital workforce that never gets tired.
Yeah.
Can you give us some specific examples of AI-powered automation in action?
The possibilities are almost endless. We're seeing AI used for things like data entry, customer service interactions, financial analysis, even medical diagnoses.
Wow. Think of all the time and resources companies can save with AI handling those tasks. What other value is AI bringing to the table?
Intelligent analytics is another big one. AI algorithms can go through mountains of data and find hidden patterns, trends, and insights that we might miss. That leads to better decisions, more accurate predictions, and even totally new products and services.
It's like having a superpowered magnifying glass for your data. Any examples?
Think personalized marketing campaigns, optimizing supply chains, improving healthcare outcomes, predicting financial markets. The applications are incredible.
AI is like the ultimate data interpreter. It's exciting to think about what's possible with intelligent analytics. What other big ways is AI creating value?
AI is fueling innovation like never before. It's helping companies create new products, streamline processes, even come up with entirely new business models.
So AI isn't just about efficiency, it's about reimagining what's possible. What are some real-world examples of this AI-driven innovation?
Self-driving cars, personalized medicine, smart homes, these are all AI-powered innovations changing the world as we know it.
It's amazing how AI is shaping the future. But with all this excitement, we also have to acknowledge the challenges. We talked about governance and ethical considerations, but are there any other potential pitfalls companies should be aware of?
You're right, it's not always easy. One challenge that comes up a lot in the sources is the explainability of AI decisions. As AI systems get more complex, it can be difficult to understand how they reach their conclusions. And that lack of transparency can be a problem, especially in fields like healthcare or finance, where decisions can have a big impact.
It's like having a black box making decisions for us. That can be a bit unnerving. How can companies address this challenge?
There's a whole area of research focused on explainable AI, making those systems more transparent. Companies can also put in place processes for auditing AI decisions and providing explanations to those affected.
So, bringing accountability and transparency to the world AI, essential for building trust and ensuring ethical practices. Anything else to watch out for?
The need for specialized skills and expertise is a big one. Building, implementing, and maintaining these AI systems requires a skilled workforce. Companies need to invest in training their people and attracting new talent with AI knowledge.
It's not just about the tech, it's about the people. That makes sense. We've talked a lot about AI in general, but how is one specific technology, the cloud, reshaping data strategy?
The cloud. It's everywhere for a reason. The cloud is revolutionizing data strategy. It offers scalability, flexibility, and cost effectiveness that we've never seen before.
So it's not just about storing data in the cloud anymore, it's using the cloud as a platform to transform your entire approach to data.
Exactly. One huge benefit is scalability. Companies can scale their data infrastructure up or down super quickly without buying expensive hardware. That's essential with the amount of data we have in the AI era.
It's like magic storage that expands to fit your needs. What other advantages does the cloud bring?
The cloud is incredibly flexible. Companies have tons of services to choose from: storage, processing, analytics, even ready-made AI solutions. They can customize their data infrastructure and adapt as their needs change.
It's a data strategy toolkit. What about cost effectiveness? How does it compare to traditional data infrastructure?
The cloud wins there too. It often uses a pay-as-you-go model. You only pay for what you use. That means big cost savings compared to those huge upfront investments for data centers.
Like having a data utility bill instead of owning the whole power plant. What a difference. Any other big benefits?
The cloud gives you access to advanced analytics and machine learning that would be really hard and expensive to build yourself. Even small businesses can use powerful AI.
It's democratizing AI. What else?
Global accessibility is another plus. Cloud data can be accessed from anywhere in the world, which is crucial for companies with global team or operations.
It's like having your data available 24/7 wherever you are. But it can't all be sunshine and rainbows, right? What are some challenges with using the cloud?
Of course, there are challenges. Data security is one. When your data's in the cloud, you're trusting a third party. It's vital to choose a provider with strong security measures.
So do your research and make sure your data is in good hands. What other challenges are there?
Compliance with data regulations is another one. Different countries have different laws about data, so companies need to make sure their cloud strategy follows the rules.
It's a legal maze. How can companies navigate that?
Working with legal and compliance experts is key. Many cloud providers also have compliance certifications and tools to help you meet those requirements.
Find the right provider and get good legal advice. Got it. Any other challenges to be aware of?
Vendor lock-in is a risk. Once you've built your data strategy around a certain cloud provider, it can be tough and costly to switch.
Like being stuck in a bad relationship. How can companies avoid that?
Think long-term from the start. Choose a provider that offers flexibility and data portability. Multi-cloud strategies using services from different providers can also help.
So being cloud agnostic, or at least cloud flexible, is the best approach. We've talked a lot about technology today, but there's a human element to all of this, right? It's not just about algorithms and platforms. It's about the people using them.
You're absolutely right. The human element is crucial for successful data strategy, especially with AI. Technology is powerful, but people drive strategy and make those important decisions.
So what does this mean for teams and roles within companies? How are AI and data changing the way we work?
We're seeing a shift toward more collaborative, data-driven teams. Data isn't hidden away in IT anymore. It's a shared resource for the entire organization.
It's about breaking down those barriers and building a data-centric culture. What roles are becoming more important in the AI age?
We're seeing a huge demand for data scientists, data engineers, machine learning specialists, the technical experts who build and manage AI systems.
The data experts are in high demand. But it's not just about those technical roles, is it?
Definitely not. We need data translators, data storytellers, data ethicists. These are the people who bridge the gap between the tech experts and everyone else, communicate data insights in a way everyone understands, and ensure data is used ethically.
It sounds like data literacy is becoming a must-have for everyone, no matter their job. What advice would you give to someone who wants to build those data skills and thrive in this data-driven world?
Embrace a growth mindset. The world of data is constantly changing, so be ready to learn, challenge your assumptions, and adapt to new technologies.
Be a lifelong learner. What else?
Build a strong foundation in data fundamentals. Understand the core principles of data governance, data architecture, data analysis.
Back to the data grammar. What else?
Get hands-on. Experiment with tools, play with data sets, try to solve real problems with data. Practice makes perfect.
Learning by doing. Makes sense.
And final words of wisdom?
Stay curious. Data is a dynamic field. There's always something new to discover. It's a lifelong adventure. We've covered a lot. The evolution of data strategy, the challenges and opportunities of AI, the cloud, and the importance of the human element. As we wrap up this section, what emerging trends are you seeing? What does the future hold for data strategy?
That's a great question. The sources point to some exciting developments. One is sustainable computing developing AI systems that are energy efficient and good for the environment.
Making sure our data-driven future is sustainable. That's important. What else is shaping the future of data strategy?
Federated learning is another fascinating trend. It's a new approach to machine learning that lets models be trained across multiple devices without sharing the raw data.
Sounds complicated. Break it down for me.
Imagine a bunch of smartphones, each with data about the user's habits. Usually, you'd gather all that data in one place to train a machine learning model. But with federated learning, you can train the model on each device separately without moving the data.
It's like having tons of mini machine learning labs, all working on a puzzle, but without ever combining their materials. Why is that so beneficial?
It has huge implications for data privacy and security because that raw data never leaves the device. It can also improve accuracy by training on more diverse data.
So more diverse data without sacrificing privacy. Win-win. What other emerging trends are you keeping an eye on?
The rise of data marketplaces. These are platforms where companies can buy, sell, or trade data, opening up opportunities for data monetization and collaboration.
Like eBay for data. Fascinating. It's tough to know what to focus on with all these trends and advancements. What advice would you give to companies trying to future-proof their data strategy?
Embrace a culture of experimentation and continuous learning. Don't be afraid to try new things, test new tech, and learn from mistakes.
So agility and adaptability are key, constantly evolving to keep up with the changes. Now, before we move on, I want to leave our listener with something to think about. If almost every company is struggling with these data strategy shifts, what does that mean for the companies that actually get it right?
It's like a wide open race, right? Whoever figures out this AI and data thing first has a real chance to pull ahead.
Yeah, the opportunity is huge. And it's not just about having the fanciest tech or the biggest pile of data.
Nope. It's about having the right approach, the right mindset.
The right culture, the right leadership, everything has to be aligned to really make data work for you in this AI age.
And that's what's so exciting about it. It's not just about, winning the market. It's about tackling bigger problems.
Using data for good. I like that.
It's about making a real difference in the world.
We've covered so much ground today. All the changes in data strategy, the challenges and opportunities, AI, the cloud, the human element. If there's just one thing you want our listeners to remember from all this, what would it be?
I think the biggest takeaway is this. The AI revolution isn't just about technology. It's a cultural shift. It's changing how we think about data, how we use it, how we manage it, everything.
It's about becoming data-driven, giving everyone the right data skills, and making sure ethical data practices are just part of how we do things.
And the companies that do that, they're the ones who are going to shape the future.
They'll be the ones leading the way, driving innovation, and making a real impact.
Exactly. The future belongs to the data-driven.
So what does all this mean for you, our listener? If anything we talked about sparked your interest, those sources you sent are full of even more information. Go check them out.
Yeah, keep digging.
And if you have any questions or areas you'd like to explore in a future deep dive, let us know.
We love to hear from you.
This has been The Deep Dive. Thanks for listening.